Welcome back to Is It Wrong to Trip Up Girls in a Dungeon? Anime Review, episode number 44. This was discussing the final episode of season 4, which it is called Luvia, Starry Flower. And this episode pretty much helps the rest of book 14. Yep, the last 30 pages, I'd say. So the first portion of the episode, we start out basically with Belle taking on Juggernaut. And we also see Lou, where she's sort of dreaming. She's basically talking to her friends who all died 5 years before the events of the series. She was with them and they're like, no, not necessary. I think I remind her basically of the sacrifice they made to make her to live. So then she wakes up and goes out to help out Belle taking on Juggernaut. And it's a really good battle. The battle itself takes almost half the episode. Yeah, almost half this episode. Yeah, Belle was basically throwing a bunch of firebolts at it. He at one point sticks his hand nearly inside of one of the legs of the Juggernaut and basically used Astrofront, I think it is his other move. And he really blasts up his leg, and of course at one point it dodges, and of course they eventually finally kill the damn creature. Yes. Long time basically waiting for this creature to finally die. And then it does die. And then, of course, they collapse because of sheer exhaustion. And, of course, they get closer, and, of course, they kind of fell unconscious, but not dead yet. And then, all of a sudden, we see Gyros and Gross and Winnie show up. And they help out Belle and Lou. Of course, they refer to her as the elf friend because they don't know who she is. So they give both healing potions, and, of course, she sees Winnie. And then she goes up. That's the last you see Winnie. Yes. The last you'll see of her. Because here's the strange thing. She's not in the next few books. Nope. The Sentinels are not in books 15 to 17. I read books 15 to 17. They're nowhere to be seen. Not even mentioned because the next few books take place outside. There's no dungeon stuff for the next few books. I'll get to that soon when I finish talking with the episode. So, then, of course, everybody else shows up. Everybody's very happy to see Belle. And then we jump ahead 3 days late. Apparently, it looks like 3 days later, maybe, where Lou's waking up and she's surrounded by her basic co-workers who were also adventurers. And, of course, very happy to see her. Though she ends up trying around to see Belle, see how she is. And, of course, her outfit is, falling apart. And she nearly is almost being butt naked right behind Belle. So, response, Hestia, making her first appearance since, the start of the second core of this season, her and Lily decide to smack him. And they both get chastised for it. And then the very next day, basically, we see Belle, where he's basically recovering really well. They kind of detail, and of course, they also kind of unofficially confirm Gilwyn died in the dungeon with the Rudios Guild. So basically, they kind of confirm that the alias of Gilwyn is dead. So maybe she go back to normal for her. Then pretty much with her, she basically is in a room. She basically is thanked by, the four members of Belle's guild, his familia. They thank her for saving his life, and of course, she's like, no, he saved my life. And of course, Cyrus hops by with a bouquet of flowers, and apparently a change of clothes. This tiny portion was actually cut from the anime. So yeah, the Cyrus clothes, and of course you see her in this wonderful white dress. And then you see Belle, where he's been discharged to the hospital. Apparently, they had to rebuild his entire arm because it was virtually destroyed. And they say that the Goliath scarf actually protected all the parts. So he says it'd be in motion. It doesn't say exactly how long it would take for him to cover, but basically, it'll recover no problem. And then he and Lou decide to take a walk around Arus. And lots of dialogue exchange here. With all this beautiful scenery. And then the episode ends with them basically this balcony area oversees some area of the city. Where they oversee Aruya. By the way, Fells is briefly mentioned in this episode. Oh, in case you're curious still, does it come back for books 15 and 17? Nope, he's nowhere to be seen. I'll get to that. So, then of course, basically, Bill comments how beautiful she is, and then she runs off. Probably because she's embarrassed the fact that he gave her a good compliment. And the book basically has her run into the street. Like, basically, he's in buildings. The anime has a slight visual change here because the book, the anime has her run through an archway, and she's asking her something like, how should I deal with this? And one of her friends says, don't let him escape, and that's the episode. An absolute really good episode. Now, you might be curious, though. Do they follow this up in the books right afterwards? Do they have a follow-up conversation with this? Yes. One of the, book 15, which is a series, anthology book, because basically the writer wanted something different for the series, so he decided to have book 15 be an anthology book. Just series of stories, one of whom does follow up with this ending, with Belle talking to Lou about this at Mamiya's. And you have to read the book to exactly what's going on there. But starting book 16, we start a new story arc with that one, where it involves Sire, where they go on supposedly a date. Yes, a date during the Gods Festival. And the end of the book, I will spoil this. She confesses feelings for him, and then of course, basically, he turns her down, and then that sets events of book 17. Where it involves a reality-altering spell cast by Freya because she's infatuated with Belle. And the only people immune to this are Lou and Ainz. They're the only two immune from this. Everyone else basically is not immune from this at all. And basically comes with a good plot point for book 17 and does set the events of book 18, which apparently is going to be a war game, which book 18 has not been released yet. Now, you might be curious, though. Is there number 2 for a 5th season? Yes. Yes, there is. I would probably have it where we have a brief 5th season, just covering book 15. Don't skip book 15 because there's good stories there. I would probably say you can do this as a mini season per se. You could do this like 6 episodes. Depends on how long it takes to cover one book. But I would probably suggest book 16 to possibly 18 because I think that's where the current arc is going to wrap up. I'm not sure. But that's pretty much how it is right now. But I'm loving the books right now. Now, my final thoughts on this season of the series. On this particular season. Really enjoyable season. I was kind of surprised that we're going to do 22 episodes, but there was a really good reason why. And the reason is because the sheer length of book 14, it's long. Really long. Yeah. These 3 books are what they adapted for season 14. Yes. And they did an excellent job with adapting these books. Yeah, a really good job. Now, one thing about the covers, I should say, that is quite interesting is that the artwork has it where the female characters, their outfits are like shredding to the point where they could be almost naked, and it's not like that on this book per se. It's a little like that. We kind of see Lou's breast, but this webbook has to be on the cover of book 14. She isn't showing the book to the end of the book. Now, of course, these 2 books here cover the first half of these, and this one book covered in 11 episodes, which is quite something. And I think that for this particular season, I think pacing-wise was a lot better than season 3, because I'd say the first half of the season they did pretty good pacing. It was kind of rushed toward the very end when they're down to book 11. Like, there's actually like a good chunk of and they also had this out of order. They kind of did a second half here, but there was a good reason. It was a way to they could have both because they had this happen concurrently. Once finished up like halfway of the book where they stopped having these characters show up, that's where they stopped all that and just went straight to basically wherever the chapter is next. Yeah. But the season was excellent. If you're a fan of this series, I do recommend checking the season out. It's long. It's the longest season of the whole series. But like I mentioned, good reason. Because book 14 is long. And I knew it had to be 6 to 8 episodes. Because it had to be. It can't be 3 or 4 episodes. Because it's a 400-page book. You can't have this book covered in 4 or 5, like 3, 4, maybe 5 episodes. It had to be close to 6 or 8. And they did it in 11 episodes, which, smart on JT Savage. Smart. Very smart. Yep. But yeah, that's particularly a particular view. You might be curious though, has been an announcement of a season 5 yet or an OVA? I haven't heard anything. I hope there will be one. Yes, I hope so. Maybe they'll have an OVA adapted story from Book 15. It's possible. Who knows? Mostly, put when it comes to the OVAs, they're mostly anime original. Yep. But yeah, that's particularly a particular view. I'm going to do one more anime. I'll call it a night, and that'll be Dotomi Nagaro. Okay, next video. Bye.